The essential part of being a real estate agent is you got to be a rainmaker. You got to know how to make money. And it's amazing to me how many agents get pretty far into this business and they've never dialed in the process of like, how do I actually make money?
People are getting married or someone's passed away or getting divorced. Like all these are major life events that are creating real estate transactions, and they're going through a lot personally. You're now having to manage this massive transaction. It gets real fast.
Don't get stuck in that poor mindset that this isn't working. You have to do enough of it, okay? You've got to do the volume of it. You can't do 10 calls and expect anything to happen. Do 100. It's just a question of volume. Our industry has an 87% failure rate. So that means out of 100 new agents that start real estate in 2 years, within 2 years, only 13 of them make it. And out of those 13, there's maybe one or two that would have a quote unquote successful career. So we want to talk about what causes agents to wash out, what causes agents to make it. And so before we get into that, please take some time to like and subscribe. Let's get started. So number one reason why agents don't make it in this business is they think it's easier than it really is. The perception is really interesting because everybody goes and watches these TV shows and they go, all right, well, this could be pretty easy. Or they may have even been had a closing recently or bought or sold a house recently. And they think, well, that agent really didn't do anything. And the reality is that there's a ton going on behind the scenes. And the way that I like to think about it is there's a lot of moving parts, but generally like the agent is the conductor for this orchestra that's happening. And so while it may not seem like a real estate agent is doing something, they're doing so much behind the scenes to make sure that deal goes through. And it's really, really difficult. So that said, it's like when people get started there, they're like, okay, well, I'm going to get my license and all my friends and all my family members are going to use me. And first of all, we know that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think transactions people feel like they're largely private because there's so much money changing hands. A lot of information comes out about how much you can afford and what your credit score is. And while the agent doesn't have access to that, I mean, I think if they're talking to their lender partner, they might get some information that's somewhat private. And so sometimes friends and family don't want to use someone they know very closely.
Right. Well, they may know you, they may like you, but they also know you're new, so they don't trust you yet.
That's right. That's right too.
And so, it just takes a couple of years of battling it out, of grinding, showing proof of concept, showing social proof, having testimonials, getting referrals. But you've got to grind at the beginning of this. And people just generally, I think, as we train new real estate agents, they're not prepared for how difficult it's going to be.
Yeah, I think the TV shows are largely, to blame, but I think also the barrier to entry is fairly low. It's not a popular opinion. That's my opinion, but it's not super popular because some people say, well, you still have to take a test and do this and do that. But, there's a lot of professions where you have to go to school for years, learn a lot. It's very specific industry. You start at the very bottom, have to work your way up over a long period of time. But for us, you've taken a class that can be done from the comfort of your home, and you can take a test a week or two later. And if you pass it, you can go about your merry way.
Well, I guess the thing is like the thing we hear the most, right? Is like, oh, I wanted a more flexible schedule, right? That's what I want. I want a more flexible schedule and I want to make better money. Okay. But there seems to be a mismatch in sort of understanding. It's just because you have a more flexible schedule doesn't mean that you can do nothing and make money.
Yeah, they think you're just going to be on the golf course like, oh, yeah, I'll buy and sell with you tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work that way. It's like you have to do activities that are going to generate business. And so the perception versus reality for like things like cold calls. And I've had agents be like, well, I don't want to make any cold calls. It's like, well, find a new business because cold calls are absolutely a part of this if you want to build any sort of income in the short term. You cannot count on your friends and family to just come out of the woodwork to start using you. And so it's just going to take some time, but you're going to have to do some cold calls. You're going to have to do marketing. You're going to have to do transaction management. What are you saying?
If cold calls are not in the agenda for you, you will be part of the 87% with absolute certainty.
Yep.
You have to pick up the phone. And if you're afraid to do so, it is without question that you are one of them that will wash out in 2 years. You have to be willing to pick up the phone.
Yeah. And then the other thing is like just the transaction management contract process. They're like, oh, I've got like once I'm teaching an agent and they got a buyer that just went under contract. I'm like, this agent doesn't really even know what's about to hit them in terms of you just don't know what you don't know. And all of a sudden you have this flood of contractual information. Clients are asking you, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? And really and you didn't learn that in real estate school. And so all of that, it's a very difficult, complicated process. And so a lot of times people just aren't ready for that. They think, oh, I'm just going to basically just say hi, shake hands, and go to a closing, pick up a check.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times too, people are used to going to a job, working 8 hours, and then getting a check for those 8 hours at the end of the week or end of every 2 weeks. Whereas real estate, you're doing activities today that you might get paid on in 6 months or 12 months because it takes that long for people to buy and sell.
Or may not get paid on.
Or may not ever get paid on.
You might go work with somebody, help them, list a house, do all the stuff, spend the money, and they go, well, we just want to pull it off the market. I think we're going to sell in a couple of years. And then you basically blew all of that time.
We had a West Coast agent on the podcast. His name was Nick McLean, and he used to feel guilty because there was nothing under contract. And this was early on in his career. Now he doesn't have that problem, but early on in his career, he used to feel guilty, and he used to have to come home and tell his wife, hey, we don't have anything under contract right now. And he shifted his mindset to say, I made 100 calls today, and that's going to be future money in my bank account 6 months from now. And that's the way you have to think, and that's the way you have to act, because it's true. Everything you're doing today will get you paid in 6 months. Now, not every single client may work out, to Brandon's point, but the activities you're doing today, if you do enough of them, will get you paid in 6 months. 12 months, whatever.
But if you're listening to this podcast and you are not a real estate agent and you're thinking about getting in, if you think it's going to be easy, you're wrong. It is hard. It's hard work. It's a lot of skill set building. You've got to build sales ability. You've got to build contract knowledge, expertise. And so it's a difficult, it can be an often difficult job, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Okay. Number 2, agents are can be terrible time managers, or they don't prioritize correctly. So the second reason agents don't make it. And really what it is they wake up in the morning and they're like, okay, well, I need to make some calls today, right? Get my business going. But, I kind of get on Instagram for a little bit and a friend calls, and there's all of these welcome distractions. Or even if agents are kind of in a deal, in the middle of a transaction or in the middle of showings, they're like, oh, I'm going to go set up the showings for today, and I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to call my client, we'll see when they want to list. And then all of a sudden they've made it through the entirety of their day thinking they need to do lead generation, and then they never get around to doing it. And then it just gets bumped to the next day. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a little story. This is a mortgage broker that owns an extremely large brokerage.
That was really loud. Go ahead.
Over 2,000 mortgage brokers work in this brokerage. He owns it. He does not take from those brokers. He actually just charges a flat fee. It's very small flat fee, but he makes that money. And then in addition, he does about 50 loans a month personal. Now, if you don't know, that's well into 7 figures a year.
Yeah.
Well into 7 figures. And his morning routine looks a lot like this. He makes a number of calls until he sets 5 appointments, and then he stops every morning, except for Sunday. Sunday's the only day he doesn't do this. He makes a number of calls until he sets 5 appointments and stops. Now, some mornings he might make 5 calls, set 5 appointments, and he's done.
Right.
Some mornings he may call 30 people, set 5 appointments, and then he's done. But he calls until he makes 5 appointments. And not all of those 5 appointments lead to business, but if you're closing 50 loans a month, something's right. And he has not stopped this. This is someone making 7 figures a year and still doing this every day.
Yeah.
So prioritize new business. Always, your pipeline will be full, and that's how you make it successful.
The essential part of being a real estate agent is you got to be a rainmaker. You got to know how to make money. Yeah. And it's amazing to me how many agents get pretty far into this business and they've never dialed in the process of like, how do I actually make money? They just kind of stumble into some deals, or maybe they get a referral here, or maybe a friend and family deal here, and it's never really a repeatable process to where they can be guaranteed income. This guy you're talking about, he's like, he has a process. I call till I get 5 appointments. I go to those appointments, and then there's customer service. He probably has a dynamic team around him.
Oh, yeah, massive. But that's, the point being is that he's still doing that himself. He's not handed that off. He's like, I need business, and this is how I get it. A lot of agents treat it like a faucet. I need money right now. I'm going to do a little bit of work. Turn on the faucet. Oh, I'm good right now. I've got, a couple $1,000s in the bank account. Turn it off. And that's not the way it works. Because guess what? You can't just pick up the phone, close a house tomorrow, and get paid. It's going to take a while. So the pipeline always has to be full, or you will have months that are really down.
Yeah. And basically most agents, they pick, it's like over the course of the day, it's like, oh, I'm going to do a little social media. I got to work on this transaction. I got to, you know what? I need to take my car to the car wash. And rather than digging in on that one thing that's actually going to make them money, lead gen, which is what you were just talking about. Right. Okay. Number 3 reason why agents don't make it in this business is they're scared to pick up the phone. Okay. And they can't get over it. I just, there was an agent recently like, Brandon, I can't pick up the phone. I just have fear of rejection. I'm like, look, at some point you just have to do it. Right. I'll say, just call, dial the number. Don't try to sell them. Just ask them about the house and then be like, okay, thanks, and hang up. And you're going to find out by doing this, do it 5 times, do it 10 times. You're going to find out by doing this that there's a real human being and they're not that bad. It's not somebody that's going to bite your head off. Okay. So it's just like agents that get in it, overthinking it, fear of rejection. Agents are amazing at coming up with clever distractions to keep them from actually picking up the phone. I'll give you an example. I had an agent that was like, they would, every time they saw for sale by owner, they'd go, okay, great. So then they go to the tax records, and then they would look at the mortgage history, and then they would basically create a narrative out of all this data onto whether they should call them or not. I'm like, that is so much freaking wasted time. Yeah. You could have just called them, figured out, real quickly whether they would take an appointment or not. But the other thing is, like, even if I take an appointment with someone who I think is not going to be a good seller, it's an appointment, right? You can extract other things. I've called a guy who says, yeah, we're taking that house off the market. I said, okay, great. Why are you taking that house off the market? And he goes, well, we're actually going to sell one of our other houses. I was like, oh, is it on the MLS? They're like, no, we haven't listed it yet. I was like, can I come see it? And we got the listing.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like your job is just to set appointments with people who are potentially capable of selling their house. Okay. Or buying. Fear of rejection, poor mindset. This is the other thing is we had one recently, like, open houses aren't working. And I was like, well, how many did you do? Well, like 2. I was like, well, do 10. And then sure enough, after they did them, they're like, oh, okay, well, we had a really good open house. We picked up a buyer. It's just that don't get stuck in that poor mindset that this isn't working. You have to do enough of it. Okay. You've got to do the volume of it. You can't do 10 calls and expect anything to happen. Do 100. You can't do 3 open houses and make a determination on open houses. Go
do 30.
50. Yeah.
Or 50. 50 is even
50,
better.
Do a year of open houses and then take that data. It's just a question of volume. Or somebody might be just, they're taking it too personally. Go ahead.
Yeah. People want to look at individual activities, like one phone call as a win or a loss.
Yeah.
But you have to look at your bank of phone calls and what that's providing you in business, like, or your bank of open houses. It's not just that one open house that was a failure. It was the fact that you've done 10 open houses and closed 2 homes from buyers you met from them. So that's a successful activity.
All right, let's take a little break. I want to talk about Hessen Loans, which you can kind of see as RL has on his hat there. Obviously, he is the proprietor of Hessen Loans. What would you tell people, agents right now, about mortgage, interest rates, all that stuff?
Yeah, I would just say it's, I think the best thing to say about mortgage and interest rates right now is that it can always be a good time to buy, and that there are programs out there that people may not be aware of that would allow you to buy sooner than you may think. Yeah. So there's still, like, if people think 0% is gone, it was gone during the 2008 cycle, there's actually still 0% loans out there. Now, you're still going to have to find closing costs to be paid for by the other side, but I would say that's pretty predominant right now. So not a big problem. So, and then I would just say the interest rates are fluctuating daily, and you might catch it on a good day and you might be able to afford more than you think.
Well, you were telling me just before we started the podcast, you got somebody a great rate.
5.5.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, 5.5. They're locked in for 45 days actually. So it's a 45-day lock and they're at 5.5. And so, like I said, you never know. I would say that talk to your buyers and sellers. Let them know that they need to talk to a mortgage professional, even if it's not me. There are programs out there. The rates are getting better, and it can be a great time to buy, getting seller concessions on the other side to get a lot of closing costs paid for. It's definitely something I would explore with your preferred mortgage professional.
Which we are hoping is you. Yeah. Okay. How do people reach you?
Yeah. Email is good. rlhesson@hessenloans.com is a great one. You can go to hessenloans.com to the website and get me there. Those are the best two ways.
Awesome. Okay. So the number 4 reason that agents don't make it is just plain and simple lack of consistency. And what I find is agents, they do something until it works and then they stop doing it. Just like what you were talking about. It's like, I've got enough money here. I can kind of
back off.
Oh, now I got to ramp back up. And it's like, look, just stay consistent. I was telling the story in Six Figure School the other day. I had a realtor that I was coaching, and he would do the same thing. He would set 1 for sell by owner appointment per day, and then he would be done. Right. And I said, listen, whatever you do not stop setting the appointment every single day. In his 6th month, he had 18 closings. Okay, so stay consistent. Just keep doing it day after day after day. Even if you've got, you feel like you've got a good pipeline, that's not the time to pump the brakes. You need to keep moving it forward. So whatever it is, whether it's for sell by owners, whether it's open houses, whether it's expires, whether it's leads that you're getting from your team leader, just keep doing it and don't let appointments and transaction management and personal distractions keep you from doing it every single day. The other thing is, I had a mentor tell me one time, he said, he was talking to a group, and he said, you need to be developing your work ethic. It was something that was interesting to me because I thought, I thought work ethic was something you either had or you didn't have. And I'm like, I guess you can develop your work ethic. You can build up your endurance in terms of working. And so a lot of people getting into this business, their work ethic is not developed.
That's right.
And, look, I get it. We are generally a pretty lazy generation compared to previous generations, like World War II generation. I mean, people just worked harder, longer. They had more, blue collar jobs and, grew up digging ditches and having farms and all that stuff, right? And so we kind of have it easy, and so we can be a kind of lazy sometimes. But you just need to develop your work ethic so that you have the endurance to do the things that you need to do.
I think a lot of it is people just need to see some success, but the only way to see success is to actually work hard.
Yeah.
And so there's a cycle there, but I can promise you, if you do some of these activities on a daily basis and keep doing them until you start to see some success and then keep doing them again, it will all work out. Like your pipeline will stay full. The success will continue to also develop your work ethic, and you'll get to where you want to be.
That's right. And then the other thing is like, from a consistency perspective is like social media, which we just got out of class teaching. You got to do it every day. And then you want to ramp up to like 2 to 3 times a day of marketing. Social media marketing.
You basically can't do enough.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do enough of it. But like where I see people that go, I post, like they spend so much time crafting the perfect post and it goes nowhere. And it's like consistent posting is way more important than you crafting the perfect video or reel or whatever the case may be. Just keep doing it. Don't just do one and give up.
As a group of us that have put out just tons and tons of content, you never know what's going to hit.
Never. No.
You are not going to be able to craft the perfect post that's going to work every time unless you're Mr. Beast.
Right.
Like it's
Well, but he only learned that from doing enough of it.
Enough of them. I've got a story about him, but I don't know that we have enough time here. But you have to be consistent, and honestly, the posts get better the more consistent you are anyway. So
yeah,
got to do it.
All right. Number 5 reason why agents don't make it. They can't manage the stress, right? This can be a very stressful business if you let it take you down that path, and you have to develop tools that will help you manage the stress, because what you'll find is people's emotions get so amped in the process of buying and selling a home because so much is on the line.
It's a massive transaction.
It's a massive transaction.
Big life event.
Yeah. So problems in real estate are real problems. I mean, these things are affecting people's lives, where their kids are going to go to school, how much money's being exchanged. They may be moving cross country. And so these issues they're real and they're impactful. And so a lot of times they'll go through one or two of those. They're like, I just can't handle the stress. I'm out.
Yeah. I mean, people are getting married, or someone's passed away, or getting divorced. Like these are major life events that are creating real estate transactions, and they're going through a lot personally. You're now having to manage this massive transaction. It gets real fast. Yeah. So you have to learn how to manage it and stay above it.
And you have to, like, when you're going through a transaction, you may win and lose that deal 3 to 4 times, like inspections and appraisal and all that stuff, right? So it's like, oh, I got the commission. I don't have the commission. I got the commission. I don't have the commission. And the stress of like just sometimes the time you have to go without money, it can be really difficult, because it's like, it's like, okay, I know I'm going to get paid on this thing, and then I'm going to get paid that, and then I need to maybe pay some bills from before. So the financial irregularity is another stress point. And the only way to combat the financial irregularity is to do more volume,
more activity,
to stay consistent, right? That's going to create, because if you'll find with consistent activity that you have predictable income, you have predictable results if you stay consistent. So
in any market,
yeah. So sometimes that stress of the irregular income can bounce people out of this business. Okay, so all of that said, and it may sound like we're being super negative, I don't know, but I mean, what I would say is like, it's just being real with what it takes to make it in this business. And if you're a real estate agent and you're listening to this, hey, it's gut check, right? What do I need to be doing? And if I said, hey, there's one thing to take away from this, it would be just to prioritize that thing that's going to make you money. Think about that guy that's doing well into 7 figures, still setting up 5 appointments a day. And that's how you need to be thinking. It's like, what can I do to set those appointments every single day, regardless of how I feel, regardless of, how busy this other transaction has gotten, regardless of how, buried I am in paperwork. Keep doing the appointments.
Yeah. I mean, to your point too, like real estate agents might have a month where there's 0 closings and there's 0 money coming in. That's stressful. Yeah. But if you got 3 closings every month, you lose 1.
It's fine. Yeah, exactly.
Probably a lot better. Right. So activity.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week. Make sure to like and subscribe. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.